Alright, welcome back everybody. Thanks for being here today. I'm hoping today's video is a good one. It's American things that Europeans can't understand. I'm very curious to see what they say in this video. I might pause it at certain areas and kind of talk about my opinions on some of the things they say, because I'm assuming it has a lot of things to do with, like our cuisine or, maybe like our work hours and stuff like that, or I'm sure gun laws will probably be in here as well. It's kind of a hot topic, but I'm very curious to see what they say, and I'm curious your guys' opinions and questions and everything else on it. So, without further ado, according to this video, American things that Europeans can't understand. Let's go.
While the culture of the United States is exported all over the world in films and on TV, it also abides by some laws and practices that many consider unusual. Europeans in particular seem to have a hard time wrapping their heads around some of them. Right. From child beauty pageants to gun laws, let's take a look at some American things that Europeans can't understand.
Let's do it.
Sick of commercials. If you're a European enjoying a cozy night in on the couch in America, some of the stuff on TV may shock and surprise you. And no, I'm not talking about Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I'm talking about commercials, which arrive so frequently it makes watching TV feel...
Look, there's a reason I don't watch much TV. I mean, for me, when it comes to TV that I watch, it's normally sporting events. And even then, it's like, okay, they had the ball for a minute, Why when they turn it over or they punt the ball or, we get a certain foul in the NBA or something, why are we going to commercial already? You can ask everybody I watch college football with. I'm like, the game can happen and my team could be getting beat. And I'm like, yeah, it sucks. Why are we going to commercial right now? It's been 53 seconds. That's the one thing I hate about it. So I agree with the commercials.
It's almost unbearable to anyone unaccustomed to it.
Especially these and like...
Especially pharmaceutical commercials, which usually show grumpy men and women turned into smiling, happy people by the product being sold. Yeah. These are usually followed by an almost comically long list of potential side effects spoken at double speed, like Ambien ad.
As well as abnormal behaviors such as being more outgoing or aggressive than normal, confusion, agitation, and hallucinations may occur. Don't take it with alcohol as it may increase these behaviors. Allergic reactions such as shortness of breath, swelling of your teeth,
I hate these commercials so much, man.
Side effects may include next-day drowsiness, dizziness, and headache.
They are the worst.
Worsening depression, including risk of suicide, may occur.
Yeah.
These types of direct-to-consumer commercials peddle...
Because it's always that kind of stuff right there. It's like, man, do you feel bad right now? Well, pop this pill in. Now, the side effects could be that it won't do anything for you at all, and it could make you want to go even crazier with it, or but here's the reward for it. It's like, why are you doing that? Why
Prescription drugs, which is an advertising standard that was rejected by the European Commission back in 2002. The Commission stated that pharmaceutical companies were unable to provide impartial information on their medicines. If that's the case, why is it practiced in America? To put it simply, there's simply never been a federal law passed to outlaw the practice. This is in no small part thanks to the fact that direct-to-consumer drugs and their accompanying ads are a huge business. And in America, whether it's right or wrong, the rules tend to follow the money. Europeans might actually need a pill for the headache all those ads give them. May cause dizziness, plausible telepathic powers, and a violent hatred of cheese. No place like home. Let's say you're a European who's just moved over to America. You found a house in a nice residential neighborhood, and you're going through your bills. Rent, water, gas, electric, all seems in order. But wait a second. What's a homeowners association fee? To a native, that's a pretty obvious question. But for Europeans, it's an unwelcome surprise.
I don't have one, so.
These fees contributes to the local homeowners association, which is somewhat like a neighborhood watch, but managing funds to be reinvested into the community. It goes towards things like residential maintenance and common spaces, which keeps residents happy and property values up.
It's basically an extra tax.
Around 24% of all Americans living under a homeowners association, they pay $200 to $300 on average.
That's insane. I seen House Hunters. I watch House Hunters International just to see some of the places around the world. But I seen one in LA. It was a house that was tiny. I mean, I say that as an American, I understand our things are bigger, but this place was like, even when I look at international house hunters, they have smaller homes. You guys have small homes in like Europe and stuff. This was like tiny. And the house was like $1,900 a month or something for them to rent, but the HOAs were $680. That was in LA.
It's insane. These entities. Now, while some Europeans might struggle with this concept, it was a form of governance that was actually invented by France back in 1804. The condominium law was exported to the U.S., where it became incredibly popular. So, if there's any European that wants to complain about homeowner regulations and fees, feel free to blame the French. Vacant vacation days. The USA has one of the largest economies in the world. A tremendous economy, in the president's words. But Europeans looking to get into the American world of work are often shocked when it comes to vacation time. U.S. workers are not entitled to mandatory paid vacation at all. Usually, the issue of paid leave is left at the discretion of employers. And yes, that does include national holidays. According to research from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, in 2017, only 77% of American workers had access to paid vacation. Now, the reason that might leave Europeans slack-jawed is because mandatory paid vacation time in Europe starts at 4 weeks. In fact, America is one of the only Western countries.
I had a week. Now, after being there for, I can't remember, 5 or 7 years or something, they bumped it up to 2. But, like, I didn't get paid for New Year's, I didn't get paid for a few holidays.
Where law doesn't enforce companies to give its employees mandatory paid vacation time.
They were a fantastic company to me.
Take a look at this map breaking down mandatory paid vacation time by country. Only the great countries are known not to give paid time off. It's a working culture that undoubtedly favors employers over employees. Americans might want to think about learning Chinese instead, as employers in China must legally offer 5 days of holiday. Although that is after one continuous year of work. Win some, lose some, I guess. Florida man. If the American states could be looked at as a dysfunctional family, then Florida would be the weird uncle who once ran away with the circus and wrestled a tiger. The Sunshine State is the third most populous state in the USA and receives over 100 million visitors year on year. With so many people living between Miami Beach, Disneyland, and Pensacola, a little crazy is bound to be found on the fringes of society. But what Europeans aren't prepared for are the crazy antics of Floridians that make daily headlines. From Florida man believed that he was half man, half dog in March 2019 to Florida man robs bank, strips naked, then runs down the street throwing stolen money everywhere in July 2017. Wow. You can search the internet for almost any day of the year and find a headline announcing Florida man has committed an utterly baffling crime. There doesn't seem to be an equivalent for any European countries, although the UK comes close with some of its
Quick pause. I don't see this kind of stuff because what I look at as the laughing stock of the U.S. as far as the state goes is California. You know, the weird things you can see with certain people and the sadness you can see in some of the big cities with like the drug problem and everything that they for some reason won't try to help with.
Journalism topics like Britain's fattest woman ate fridge and died. Let me know the funniest local headlines you've ever seen at stories@bmas.com. VAT trouble. In Europe, like most of the world, tax is built into the price of items in-store and online. So what you see on the tag is what you pay. But Europeans visiting an American store might be left doing a double take at their bill when they reach the register. There's no national sales tax or value-added tax in America. Instead, American taxes differ by jurisdiction,
yes, they do.
Of which there are around 7,000. Differences in these local rates, state taxes, or combined state and local taxes means that final prices for the same item can differ from one street to the next. For first-time shoppers in the U.S., this unpleasant surprise is a rite of passage that no one asked for. Tipping point. A meal at a restaurant can be a real treat, but Europeans visiting America sometimes stress about the tip. Although tipping anywhere up to 20% seems normal to most Americans, there's no such obligation in Europe. Indeed, it's mostly seen as a bonus reward for good service. Yeah. And in some European countries, it's even considered rude and excessive to leave a tip. The American federal government, however, states that tips can be used to satisfy the difference between the employee's hourly wage and the standard minimum wage. This means food servers, valets, and in-house staff in certain states can be working for a federal wage of just $2.13 per hour.
That's why...
Which is about €1.96.
That's why, even if they're really, really
to the
bad,
States, get
I
ready
still
to
give at
factor
least
in your tip to
$5,
the overall
$6,
price
you know
of
what I
your
mean, just
meal.
to kind of help.
You might well be contributing to a struggling waiter's
Everybody
rent.
has a bad day, but they get
Child
paid
beauty pageants.
pathetically sometimes.
If you've ever been unfortunate
this is
enough to have
weird.
watched an episode of
This should be
Toddlers and
illegal.
Tiaras on TLC...
This to me should be illegal because these are very, very, very young children, and all you're doing
I
is
think you might side
publicly
with the
broadcasting
Europeans
about it
on
for
the
everybody.
next matter.
It's-
Child beauty pageants are common across
can't say the
America
word
and usually
on
consist
YouTube,
of
if you
dolled
get
up
where I'm
little
getting.
girls being thrust onto a stage to entertain a crowd of screaming
It's so weird.
moms. It's truly bizarre.
Yeah.
But what's equally strange is how the craze got started. Child pageants originated from American Better Baby contests in the early 20th century. Babies would be scored on characteristics like weight, quality of skin, and face shape, supposedly in the name of helping to educate mothers on best practices for healthy babies. But of course, it wasn't just for education purposes. There were also cash rewards and trophies for top-ranking toddlers. This has slowly devolved into the
So
bedazzled
stupid. And
tradition
of course
of
they turn
pushing a
them into
child on
reality
stage in
shows.
full makeup and styled hair to do a dance routine for prize money. Although some European countries host similar but smaller events, others like France have gone as far as to ban all such pageants, claiming they're an unhealthy way to treat young girls. If you ask me, their general creepiness alone should be enough to slam the brakes on child beauty pageants.
That meme.
Honey boo boo, no thanks. Size is everything. According to an old saying, everything's bigger in Texas. But if you're a European, you'll probably think that about all of America, right down to its people. It's no secret that America has a little bit of a weight problem. 2/3 of American adults classify as overweight, and it's estimated that almost 40% of adults in the U.S. aged 20 and over are obese. Contrasted to Europe, where a survey carried out in 2014 labeled just 15% of adults obese. That's a king-size difference, with a side of fries.
Yep.
The American tendency to overeat might have something to do with portion sizes in the States. A study comparing portions in Paris and Philadelphia revealed food outlet portions were 25% larger in Philly.
I knew they
And
were
a
bigger, but
review
not
of
that much.
17
Wow.
different single-serve foods like yogurt and candy bars found that 14 of them were bigger in Philadelphia. While a one-state to one-country comparison doesn't necessarily represent the whole, Europeans on social media often comment on how much bigger everything seems stateside. Have you noticed this difference in
And he might get to it here. We got about 4 more minutes left. He might get to it, but our food is far worse for us than it is over there as well. The crap we put in our food. Since I started doing this channel, just some of the stuff that I see is just bonkers. And it's kind of weird too, the overweight and obese factors. I typed in my weight and my height before I started losing weight, and it told me I was obese, and I'm like, I'm a little chubby. I got a little double chin, but that's just built into my family. We got the skinniest people, and we have this little gobbler neck. But it is kind of weird how they differ. You know what I mean? But I'm definitely I need to lose more weight. Don't get me wrong, but
portion sizes? Let me know in the comments below. Bonus points for food puns. Oh, sugar.
Oh, yeah, here we
Living in America can really give you a taste for the sweet life.
Man, I do this all the
your
time. I should
teeth
just let
won't
him
thank you
finish.
for it. Why? Well, some American foods and drinks have been found to contain huge amounts of sugar compared to their European equivalents. Some common bread brands contain up to 6 grams of sugar per serving, 6 times the amount
In
found
bread?
in European counterparts. But it doesn't end there. Taking a look at Pizza Hut's sugar content reveals most of their stateside pizzas have close to double the amount of sugar per slice as European versions. And in Starbucks, a UK venti white chocolate mocha will contain 62.4 grams of sugar. But in America, that shoots up to 72 grams. I've heard of sweetening the deal, but any Europeans making the trip across the Atlantic might leave suffering from a toothache.
gosh.
Gaps in the market. European standards of building a public restroom involve plenty of privacy, mainly in the form of cubicles with doors that are more door than gap. Seems obvious, but it's a standard that Americans just can't seem to adopt. With ridiculously large gaps at the top, bottom, and sides, it makes for a truly uncomfortable first visit to an American toilet for unwitting visitors. On their first time, Europeans are left feeling especially susceptible to unwelcome visitors and peeping Toms. Some people even resort to taping up the gap to prevent prying eyes looking in.
If possible, other than like peeing where your back's to them, I refuse to use the bathroom in public if possible. If I know I'm on my way home and the food ain't settling well, old Dad here, he makes her way.
As strange as the design seems, there are some theories as to why Americans build their stalls this way. For a start, high floor gaps allow for easier cleaning, and they do make it simpler to pass toilet paper from one cubicle to another. On top of that, the vertical gaps act as a deterrent for anyone thinking of doing anything naughty behind closed doors.
Yeah, but they're not that
tall. There's always the chance you might accidentally get a real eyeful. Maybe just close your eyes before entering any American restrooms. Triggered. It strikes many Europeans as a bit odd that in America you can pick up your groceries from one aisle of a store and a gun from another. Indeed, you can buy guns over the counter in places like Walmart, and ammo can be found in pharmacies. But
I've never seen ammo in a pharmacy.
In many parts of Europe, what is it that Europeans find weird about the gun-loving, rifle-wielding, Second Amendment-touting American citizen? It might have something to do with America's gun-related death rate, seeing as per capita, there were 12 gun-related deaths for every 100,000 people in America in 2017. Very few European countries exceed 3 gun-related deaths per 100,000 people, and none even come close to America's 12 per 100,000. The causes of the problem are fiercely debated, but it might have something to do with how easy it is to buy a gun. Background checks are usually carried out, but a research survey from Harvard in 2015 estimated that a third of American gun owners have purchased a firearm without a background check. In Europe, many countries like Austria and Germany require would-be gun owners to go through a rigorous 7-step procedure before owning a gun. High-caliber handguns are outright banned in the UK, and many categories of semi-automatic weapons are illegal to own across Europe. It's simply much harder to legally purchase a gun in Europe than it is in the US, which I'm sure is a trigger point for some. Have you know?
Well, that was interesting. I mean, I can comment on the gun one. Contrary to what certain media people want you to believe, most of them, 90% of them, are used for hunting. And nobody uses like an AR-15 for hunting. So I have one, and I live in the country. I mean, you never know. You could be walking in the woods and come across an animal. You know what I mean? So guns, they're a sensitive topic. I'm going to not try to dive into it too much. I mean, we have one. It's for protection against whatever may be, but I'm very blessed to live in a country where I shouldn't have to worry about too awful much. So that was interesting. So if you are from Europe or anywhere in the world, but I mean I know this video is based from Europe, Europe's perspective, I should say. If you're like that, what do you agree with? What do you disagree with? What are your thoughts on some of these things? What questions do you have for me? I mean, I'll try to answer anything I can for you. I probably won't go too far into the gun one because, I grew up in a country family where we hunted and we used them for hunting and protection, and you just never know what you're going to run into. And so I probably won't dive too much into the gun one just because it is kind of a sensitive topic and I don't want to insult or offend anybody with it. So anything like that, anything else, feel free to ask, and I'll try to give you my honest opinion if I see the comment, and we'll go from there. But thank you all so much for watching. Like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. It's free for you and it helps me out tremendously. We're trying to get YouTube partnered and we're getting really close, and I'm very, very thankful for all of you. Share the video with all your friends. Let me know what you guys think, like I said, down below in the comments. And just thanks for being here, and we'll see you on the next one.